You're super tiny. Hey? Super tiny. Sunny, but there's a beautiful cool breeze today. Trouble is that cool breeze can be deceptive because it feels cooler than it actually is, and barely any clouds in the sky, and apparently the UV index was just high today. It's 4:30. We were just chilling out on the lounge and I looked at Batman and said, "Do you want to go for a walk?" And he sat up and jumped off the lounge. So that's a yes. He's wearing sunscreen and a special dog sunscreen for his nose because he's had a few little lumps on his head that were precancerous. He was checked last time. Being a black dog, he really sucks in all of the sunlight and the heat. So we want to make sure that he's protected if we can. A nice bit of shade along here. As you can see, it's at this time of day, the sun is kind of behind the trees for the most part of the walk, apart from a few spots where there's a gap. Just after we got out of the ute and started to walk, I heard some voices and I thought I'll just wait in case it's some people walking a dog. Don't want them colliding in the walk track. And this bloke and his son came along on electric dirt bikes. They're basically, the wheels are closer to a push bike, but the body of it makes it look a bit like a dirt bike, and they're just electric. No pedals that I could notice at all. I think just fully electric. Would not have known that they were on bikes until they came around the corner because they're so quiet. Just heard a little bit of that electric whir. And we had a bit of a chat. He said hi to Batman. Local residents, but they live on the opposite side of the highway to where this is. He asked about this big block of land, asked how long it had been for sale. Had a bit of chat about that because I'd looked into it. He thought there was like a new housing estate on this side of the highway somewhere. And I said, right, there's a newish looking spot, but I've been here for 20 years almost, and that's about as new as I've seen on this side. But I know there are a few new areas there, a little bit further down the highway. But he said he knew about that one, so it wasn't that one. Anyway, did some more laundry this morning. Because it's been so nice, I thought I should try and mow the lawn again. But I did see how high the UV index was meant to be in the middle of the day. So I said, nope, not doing that. But I might just get out the mower and go do a quick go over the yard. Grass hasn't grown much, but if I do it without the catcher and just let it mulch in, it might be a little easier and quicker. It won't grow so long so soon. It kind of sucks having to mow the lawn every week. Ooh, that breeze is nice. Sunny morning, and it feels like autumn has decided to descend upon us really suddenly. It was, I guess because it was so clear yesterday and overnight, it was really cold last night comparatively. It said it was about 9 degrees
Celsius this morning when I was leaving, which isn't super cold, but when you've been leaving home and it's been in the 20s, it's a dramatic change. The top at the house is only going to be 21. It was about that yesterday. So it'll probably be a little bit warmer down at work. I didn't check, but gorgeous day to be at work. Week 4, technically. It's only really the start of week 2 and a bit for the kids. Week 4, which is a week B, 5 timber, 11 construction, 5 metal today. Let's just see how the day flows. They've been a little disjointed with me being upstairs and other things on. I'm hoping that this isn't going to sort of mess around with the flow of things too much, because the start of the year is the most important time for really setting your ground rules, ground expectations, because you want to have the expectations from the kids as well. Like in the metal class, one of the expectations, I asked them to say, what's the expectation of me? And one of them said that Mr. Burke will teach our class and teach me some new skills. So there's an expectation there. Year 11, for instance, they missed out on 2 days last week, actually 3 days last week, because I was out on Friday as well. And I saw some on Thursday. They said, the first thing they said, we got a free tomorrow, because they'd already had 2 Monday, Tuesday. And they're getting used to being off class. And it's not just mild classes, there's other teachers who've been out, and the senior classes don't get covered. And while year 12 are a bit used to it, it's a brand new thing for year 11 coming in from year 10. And the kids who already don't have a real high expectation for what they had to do, that can start off wrong. But really, what can you do? You have things on, you have appointments, you have requests to be the DP. It's like there'll be excursions, all sorts of things can get in the way of smooth running of a class, of a school. That's one thing as a teacher you've really got to get used to. It's like, it's not a corporate environment. It's a very flexible teaching and learning environment, and you need to be able to be flexible and resilient without giving up. And I'm just concerned about it because this is what happened with my current year 12 when they were in year 11, and I was asked to be the DP on and off, and it interfered with their classes and they couldn't self-regulate. I was leaving work, but they wouldn't do it because they didn't have teachers. And at the start of last year, we had no casuals. And so that really affected impacted the way the school ran. We've got quite a few casuals now, and casuals who want to be at our school because they've heard of, it's a good school. Try and get on top of making the kids see the importance of our course and the importance of putting in as much effort when I'm not there as hopefully they'll put in when I am there. So far the timber class has been pretty good, and like their first prac day they were really well behaved and cooperative. The metal class has a few more big personalities in there, let's put it that way. It's going to be a distracting time in the theory rooms. I can see it being slightly chaotic in the workshop if they can't self-manage. I'm trying my best to manage, but Welcome again to the M4 parking lot. Remember when it used to be like this, when it was just 2 lanes, so they widened it to 3 lanes to make it better, but then more people moved out west and etc. I think they're putting this on the fact that there's industrial action on the trains. I think they started it over the weekend or Friday, and drivers were going to drive 32 kilometres below their top allowed speed. The train will leave on time from its start, but that slowdown will just have a roll-on impact from the morning. And I think they're doing that again today. And I did see a news story about prepare for longer delays, prepare for your commute to be a lot longer. Unless it's absolutely essential, don't catch the trains. So there's probably quite a few people who do own cars who usually just catch the train for convenience, and today is inconvenient, so there's more traffic on the roads. I've often said if my school was really close to the train line, I would probably catch a train to work, because from where I am down to Penrith, it's a little over half an hour. I'd have to change trains to get to Mount Druitt for my current school, and then I'd have to get onto a bus to get up to the school. Now, I know it's doable because a workmate does it occasionally. Yeah, we carpool as well sometimes, but occasionally he'll do the catch the train and bus to work, and he says it's great. He gets so much work done on the train. And that's what I've thought, like, I'm in the car for an hour minimum, morning and night. You can't do any work. You can think about a lot of it. I talk a lot of it out here. Anything that requires writing, like policy documents, programming, anything like that, can't do any of that. Whereas I have been on the train when I've gone into the city for things, and I've gotten a bit of work done on the train. But days when it's like this on a freeway, it's nothing but frustrating, because I will be late now. Of course. 7 o'clock Monday evening. Try and get a bit of a walk in because the weather's beautiful. Another cool one today, though sunny all day. And let's see, my stage 5 timber class, we did a bit of prac today after doing some timber terminology work at first, and they worked really well. That class is working really well in the workshop so far. Fair bit of cooperation, as I said the other day. Just generally well behaved. Year 11, a little more than half the class there, and we just worked on getting them all set up on Evidence Central into the vet induction that they need to do. Getting their USI in if they've got it, making sure they're in the class. And I did get a email later today about some changes that they've made, like Region have made. Task 1 was always, or had recently been, the white card, and I've basically got until the end of this term to get it done. I'm aiming for later in the term. Task 2 is their tools, used to be known as Task 6,
They've called it Task 2 because it stretches over the 2 years, and it makes a little bit more sense to your head to see Task 2 rather than Task 6 at the start of Year 11. And then Task 3, formerly Task 2, is the working safe one. They've reduced some of the online marking that we need to do. So kind of looking forward to those changes. In the afternoon, I had the Stage 5 medal class. A little bit more chaotic, and I said that to the guys today. I said, like, this class feels like it has a slight bit of chaos to it. Not bad chaos, just rowdy chaos. Got them in there so that we could do a little bit of prac, just getting used to using some of the marking, like using a scriber rather than a pencil, and using dividers to mark out parallel to the edge of a piece of steel. And we're making some little, going to start out just making some ice. I can't even remember what they're called now. 20 years since I've made them. Just protectors, or there's shims of steel, just a galvanised steel that you make, little 90-degree angle piece of steel that you put into the vise so that the imprint of jaws doesn't get onto your projects, because they will try and clamp this stuff up really tight. Some of the kids wouldn't come out because they couldn't find the right size boots. There's a bit of chaos there with the way they were in the room. So I need to sort that out. I got some sheet steel out of the storeroom and marked out, checked the width of the vices, which is 125, so I made these 120. And so a 5-inch vice for those over the pond. And we were just going to make the little right angle piece 25 by 25, or an inch by an inch. So I marked out these 120 pieces, got them onto the Giant's super shear. Had another student sort of help me with it, and I'd marked 4 pieces, 4 long strips, and we cut them. And then left the last piece of the steel sitting on the front of it. Went to get them from out the back, and the shear hadn't cut all the way through them. And it turns out it was folding it at the last, probably 200 mil. Or it wasn't even getting that far. So the blades are obviously not aligned, so that's something I need to do. Cut beautifully at one side of the shear, but if you want to cut a full 1200 mil wide sheet, or a 4-foot wide sheet, it won't work. So I had to get into the cage behind it, the safety cage, and just jaggedly cut them off with tin snips, which allowed me to show the kids how to use a tri-square on the edge of the bench to mark a square edge first. About half the class worked really well. A couple of things I've got to do in that classroom is sort the boots, adjust that shear, just do a double check on the toolboxes. Oh, they got mucked up today. I had an ex-student contact me who was actually in the year group that our head teacher PE was in. She was one of my top 2 students. There was her and another student who were just quite competitive. And they both did really well. High band 5s. She spoke to the head teacher PE to ask if I was still teaching there. And he said, yep. And she messaged me and said, going through her storage and found her folio from 2008. I wanted to know if I wanted it before she threw it out. I had a full colour photocopy, but the original would be great. So we sort of arranged a time where I was off class so that she could come in because she wanted to have a good visit. Brought in her 9-month-old baby. We went down and caught up with the head teacher PE as well. It was really good to catch up with her. It's been 16 years. It was funny. She asked about whether PE teacher was on class or whatever. She wanted to say good day on the way out. He didn't know he was the head teacher PE. So I walked her through the playground to go back out. She said to him, "You didn't tell me you were head teacher." And he goes, "You didn't ask." He's not a braggadocious kind of guy. There's several staff that are ex-students, which is one of the reasons I love our school. Although it doesn't happen often, I have had instances where ex-students have come up to say hi. In some cases it's because they now have kids at the school. Other cases it's like after 4, 5, 6 years or whatever, we've had students who come back to say good day, let you know how they're going. It's one of the things that I kind of missed out on at my last school. I left the year that my Year 12 group graduated. The chance of having any of them come back to visit just never happened. It's happened a few times. Some of them come back as either older siblings. You see them at presentation nights, graduations. It's part of that community thing that you really love about a school if you're in it. When you see staff who stick around for a long time in a school, that's quite often why. Tuesday morning. Had to come down to Parramatta for an appointment. Traffic was horrible. Yeah, alright, Batman. I figured it's going to be a while, so we brought Bat down with us. He knows this area. And then I'll be going into work afterwards. I've got no classes this morning, but still got to take leave. Traffic was horrendous. We crawled along the freeway. You know it's bad when it says you've got 19 kilometres to travel. It's going to take you 39 minutes. Can't see much in the way of fish at the moment. From the odd puffer fish, toadfish or whatever they're called. Because the tide's in. Little bridge I'm standing on here where there's a little weir. That side, freshwater river. That side, brackish water because it leads down to Sydney Harbour. So where that where that pier is, that's where the river cat comes. And you can catch it all the way down into the city. Some people can buy it, but it's pretty slow. There's evidence that this is tidal because this jetty or pier will rise up and down with the tide on here, and then the walkway over there that comes onto it just is like a ramp, and it adjusts depending on your height or the level of the water. Like I said, at the moment the tide is in, but I don't know whether it's heading out. You see these are mangroves. So they've got the root system there for the mangroves, and they generally peak up just below, above high tide water. So not completely high tided. Easy. No. Easy. Batman. Bush turkey. Hey? Brush turkey's good. There's another one. Look. Shh. Hey. Bat. Stop. Stop it. Stop it. It's alright, buddy. We're moving. You can go. Go with your mate. It's okay. Off you go. Buddy already bolted into the grass. Down by the mangroves. I did not expect to see that. The last place I saw them was when we were in North Sydney, when he was having his eyes done. His eyes are obviously fixed because he saw them. This isn't good news. Not even at the bottom of the mountains yet, and we're crawling. I don't know whether this is just... Sometimes the traffic lights can back up traffic. Usually, like we're just above Blaxland. Usually going through Blaxland it will slow down because they're traffic lights, but there's a couple. There's two between that, which is what we look like we're getting towards. Yeah, we're getting through a string of red lights. Hopefully that's all it is, because I don't want this to be something that's going to drag all the way down the mountain and make me late. Yesterday, photo day, I still dressed to go in the workshop because I had construction and timber. When I had Year 11 construction, that was when they were doing photos for Year 11. When I had Stage 5 timber, that's when they decided to do all of the Stage 5 photos. But I went to the librarian who runs the photos, and I said, like, Stage 5 is both Year 9 and 10. That's going to be a lot of kids, or are you staggering us coming down? And they looked at where my class was and they said, somebody will come for you at about 2:35. So just took the kids to class. I really didn't expect the kids to want to do prac because they'd get dirty and dusty, but they did. They got in and did prac. I was really hot because I'd just been on playground duty and it was sweltering, so I tried to just step around and cool off and give little bits of advice here and there. But they got 20-25 minutes worth of prac in, and then I got them to start packing up, ready for when the people would come and get us, because I didn't want to then be having them wait for us, because we were the last session of the day. And then I said, look, let's go down. And we went down and it was fine. We just sort of got into the line, and they were a little worried that we weren't going to get through all the kids before the bell. And then when there was about 20-30 kids left to go, one of the cameras broke down, and so it was just the one camera trying to finish the rest of them off. And so I just got at the back of the line and made sure the kids didn't wander off. Got them to all go through, and then I sat down and had my staff one. So their very last photo for the day was the old fella. Just before leaving work, I went over to the trade school and I sorted the boots. I wanted to make sure that the boots were set out in sets, because the last lesson some of the kids were just like, oh, I can't find my size. And I wanted to see if we had enough, because they were mixed up and all over the place and in cupboards, and I think we should be okay. But I'll also use the opportunity to find out what sizes I might need and buy some more.
Year 11 construction first thing this morning. We've still got to get through a lot of administration stuff, and I'm going to push that this year. I'm going to do that before I jump into any prac with them, because chasing kids for the administration stuff afterwards just becomes frustrating, and when it starts to impact their chances of graduation and they're getting N awarded at the end of year 11 because they're not doing stuff that they should have done at the start, I'm not having that again. And it's a smaller group. I think that I've got 14. I think I've signed 2 more in. They're doing a lot of the kids are doing their subject changes at the moment. So I've said, yes, I'll take in another 2. No, 1 signed out. We decided it wasn't for him. So I'm probably looking at maybe 15, 16 kids. So that's period 1, which means I'll probably have some kids late, but fingers crossed that's not the case. I have the stage 5 medal after recess, and I want to get a little bit of a structure with the toolboxes with them, get them assigned to a toolbox, and I started making up little checklist things that I'm going to stick to the toolbox that they can use a little whiteboard marker on. Got all this at the start of the lesson, make sure I've got all at the end of the lesson before it gets packed away. 12 construction last period, I hope they all show up. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. I hope they all show up. I hope the ones I spoke to the other day about getting a work placement through friends and family have possibly made progress on that, and they'll be able to give me some details that I can pass on to Region, because the sooner that's organised, the better. And then after that, it's the end of hump day. Traffic's flowing. I feel better. It was just traffic lights. Just finished with the new year 11 class. It wasn't a full class, but I'm making sure we get through all that paperwork, and they're working really well. Helpful, asking questions, polite. I made it clear that all this sort of stuff's got to get done, so they seem to be taking it seriously. Just finished with year 12 construction, and look at that. No. They cleared that whole area, stacked the pavers on the pallet and moved them over here using the pallet jack. Got all the steel that was against the fence over in that corner at the moment, and swept the whole area, got all the leaves and everything out of the way. We're going to start on the carport soon. I've got them tomorrow, so we'll be getting the parts out and trying to follow the instructions to assemble it. When I was looking at it, it's kind of going to have to go sideways because the width of the legs in one direction are too wide to fit between the fence and that concrete guttering. So we'll end up having it go the other way because it's only, I think, 3,800 wide this way with the feet and 5,300 wide the other way. I was just trying to have a look through the instructions until here, figure it all out. They're the main measurements I was looking at. It's like 55 by 55 rooftop. But this section here, you can see we've got 5350 to the outside of the legs, and that's too wide for that space. The 3340 will fit, and if we just take the carport right up to the fence line, actually it could probably go over the top of the fence and then sit these feet right up against the back gutter, right up against that back gutter there. These front feet at 5350 would probably come just to the edge of the concrete, and we'll get it set up, and the other one's going to go here, so stuff will have to move from there when we do it, including the carport. So there's 2 sets of carports stacked there, and I've started undoing one just so I could find these, and the bags of hardware there, I managed to get 2 of them out. That's from one, that's from the other, because they were at the very end. This was buried in the centre of the top one, and then those instructions were behind it. So it's probably going to be the same case with the other one, but we will make a start on this tomorrow, period 4. I think I've got year 11, period 3. Gloomy looking morning, suiting my mood. I was given the exciting news from the boss yesterday that our year 8 numbers are really good. They're really high. Too high for the current number of classes we have. Now, our staffing has absolutely no room for movement in it. So the only way to be able to add an extra class in year 8 in every subject is to remove a class from year 7 in every subject, because year 7 is smaller than expected. And if only it were that simple. In order to do this, I need to create a brand new timetable completely. Nobody's classes will be exactly as they are now. Well, the classes you have are most likely going to be the same unless you teach stage 4. Not everybody who has sport may have sport, I don't know. But the days you have classes and meetings and all that sort of stuff, that will all be cleared off. Everything cleared off. I need head teachers to reallocate their classes. Last night, I redid the allocation sheets, removing classes and adding classes. I cleared the allocations for stage 4 and sport. I also said for them to readjust their 9 to 12 allocations to reflect either what's on the timetable or what they want, to remove the splits that got created in the first round. I'm going to have to say that to them again this morning, because I'm not sure if I was really clear on that. Essentially, head teachers need to completely reallocate all their classes. Stage 5 and 6, it's likely to be exactly the same, but I want to be sure, because in the timetable there are splits and things. Core head teachers need to get together, renegotiate year 8 classes, because now instead of being a 2-3 split, they're going to be a 3-3 split. So basically even numbers. STEM gets an extra class, so it's a 3-4. I don't know how, if I'm going to be able to staff that, especially since one of my teachers who was teaching stage 4, he got the position of relieving head teaching and learning, which just went up for EOI and to interview last week. So I already needed to remove 10 periods from him. Year 7 STEM goes down from 6 to 5 in a 2-3 split with Kappa. I had heard that the principal was looking for me on Wednesday and couldn't find me. I was over in the trade school trying to just tidy up things over there in between classes. And I really wish he had have found me, because finding this out yesterday afternoon after lunch, or at lunch, has reduced the time I have to do things by a day. And you might say, oh well, creating a timetable is a pretty big process. One day's not going to matter. We need this timetable to take effect within a week. I don't foresee myself doing it any faster, but being able to have it done by the start of the next week A cycle, which is not Monday but the Monday after, is going to be the best for the school. In the email I sent out last night, I said to the head teachers, if you can have your allocations for me by Monday morning, That'd be good. Class list by Tuesday morning. But I think I'm going to put them aside today and say I need their allocations before the weekend, because class list stuff I can throw in at the end. But I need allocations for the timetable to try and create a new timetable, and then give me time to fix all the clashes that are going to be there. I'm going to have to see them this morning and say that. Because to add to it, I'm going to an engineering studies teacher's professional development tomorrow, so Saturday, and that's at Terrigal, which is upper Central Coast, something like 2.5 hour drive, completely free. So there's a day where I can't work on it on the weekend. And then the following weekend, which is the weekend before I want it to go live, is our exec conference, Friday night and Saturday. So really stealing away my working time. Head teacher admin said she could take me off classes to work on it, which is great. I don't want to be taken off classes really. But and every other piece of administration and paperwork that the boss is currently asking us to make sure is there. Time for me to delegate. I think I'm going to delegate checking that all our curriculum documents in the HSC monitoring folders and everything are there. I'll delegate that to my 2IC. I'll give her access to be able to do that, because that's in a Teams or a OneDrive drive that the principal set up, gave access to all head teachers, and so that we can put stuff in by our faculties that he can see and that the director can see. Slept like crap because my head was just spinning with stuff. I couldn't focus in BLT meetings yesterday afternoon. Driving home, I tried listening to podcasts and I wasn't focused on the podcast because I had so much going through my head about what I've got to try and do, in what order and how fast. And trying to think of how's it going to work inside my own faculty. I ended up turning off the podcast and just putting on music so that I could just zone out from that. That could just be there while I thought. This offload has gone on long enough. We'll see how it all fleshes out.